Hi, I'm Catherine Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co founder of the She Angels Foundation. I'm also the podcast host of Invest in Her and an award winning producer, author, and TEDx speaker. Our show, Invest in Her, features phenomenal female founders and funders. As you know, women receive less than 2% of venture capital funding. Our series is about accelerating the funding of women by connecting them to funding resources. Let's meet today's guest. Welcome to this week's edition of Invest in Her. I'm your host, Catherine Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation. Also, a general partner at the Silicon Valley Women Founders Fund and the producer of the award-winning movie Show Her the Money. As you know, every week we bring on amazing guests that are great resources for you. And today we have on an amazing guest. She is the managing partner of Founders Bay, which is the premier venture studio for AI startups in the Bay Area, a community of 45,000. And she also heads up the Women of Founders Bay, which is the largest female founders tech community in the Bay Area. Let's welcome to the show, Mariane Bekker. Hi, Mariane. How are you?
I am good, Catherine. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And I take it you're in the Bay Area today.
Yes, I'm in San Francisco. It's finally sunny here, so I'm very happy
Yay.
past our small winter.
Good. It could be back. You never know these days, right?
True, that's true. You never know.
So, I just am so amazed with you. We met at the Opal Investment Group event in Orange County not too long ago, and you were telling me about your tech community of 45,000, and I'm like, you go, girl. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. How and when did you start that community?
Yeah, I started this approximately a year and a half ago, and it was completely by accident. We grew really fast. I had started my own company after I left Mindbody, and then I needed to understand more and learn more about entrepreneurship and what it takes to be a great founder. So then I wanted to meet other founders out there. And I would go to, and I started getting invited to some events. And then I realized there was no really a resource out there about all the tech events happening. But most importantly, like every time I would go to a founder event, I would look around and I wouldn't see a lot of women there. And I realized the reason why is because this event space is such a closed circle. And then if you are a woman starting out or opening your own business, you don't have access. You don't even know where those events are happening. So I started this newsletter to really report on all the events happening in the Bay Area every week and really to bring more women into the founder community. And that newsletter grew really fast. And we started doing events. I started my nonprofit for women founders. And then suddenly we now have 45,000 members.
Unbelievable. And the members are male and female?
The members are male and female, because at the end of the day, I have a nonprofit called Women Founders Bay, and we support 600 startups here in the Valley, all female founded. But I quickly realized that in order to make change in the tech industry, we need to really bring the women to the forefront of the entire community. So 45,000, it's men and women, but the best part is compared to other community, over 50% of our members are women. So we're really building a truly diverse ecosystem here.
And I love that. And of course, we want our male allies. You know, companies that are run by both genders are more profitable and more successful. I have a male partner in my fund, Silicon Valley Women Founders Fund. And even though our focus is on funding women in tech, I think it's great to have both perspectives at the table. And so I think it's great that you made the community mixed with an emphasis on giving women a place to go. I agree with you that just like in the tech community, in the venture capital community, it's the same. You know, there are events and hardly any women, and then they don't feel comfortable going. And so I know it's been my focus, and I'm sure it is yours too with your fund, is that I want more women, and also, of course, with the movie, Show Her the Money, is trying to get more women to step into venture capital as an investment so that there's more women in the venture capital community. And then more women will get funding because research shows people tend to invest in people they identify with, right? Uh,
Exactly.
exactly. I mentioned this in a TED talk I did called Fund Women Save the World. And so we have to have women in that ecosystem. So I think what you've done for women in tech is brilliant because we're going to be more successful when we come together and we're not a lone island and we're sharing resources and sharing connections, right? And I think it's brilliant that you, as a tech exec, saw that that was missing and created this. No wonder it grew so quickly.
Yeah, and also the best part of this is that now men are realizing after coming to our events and seeing that 50% of the attendees are women, they are realizing that they no longer want to go to events where there's no woman there. It's not as fun, it's not as productive, it's not as interesting to be in a place where there's no women there. At the end of the day, we live in a world where 50% of us are men and 50% are women. So we want to recreate that in all our events, in all the products that we're building, in all the people that we are funding. And then there's a really cool, actually, one of the best moments happened a few weeks ago where I had an event for women founders, specifically to celebrate women founders. But now the men are coming to really support us. And one man came to me and he's like, Marianne, I don't feel comfortable going to any other event in San Francisco anymore other than Founders Bay because there's no woman there and it doesn't feel good. And I realized that that's how you change culture is when you show them a better way and then you make the old system obsolete. And that's what we're trying to do here in Silicon Valley.
I love that. And it was just organic. And that's the beautiful thing about it. And women were being left out. And why? I mean, as my business partner says, they're 50% of the brain power and innovations. Why would we want to leave that on the wayside? Like it's so important to have both at the table and all the ideas and innovations. And that includes obviously the tech industry. So yeah, bravo on what you're doing. Now, what are some stories that have come out of this? I know you have stories of having put people together through these communities. Is there one or two you could share?
Yeah, definitely. So we just hosted the Giga Party, and what we wanted to do is bring together art, music, and tech, especially in San Francisco. At that event, we had 2,000 founders and VC join us. We had investors from all the different funds represented in the community, and we had a show called the Elevator Show. And the winner would go on to LA to pitch on the Amazon TV show. And during that pitch competition, I selected the founder who were pitching, and obviously I had at least 70% women pitching because they just from all the application, they had the best startups. And then the person who won was a woman founder in our community. She's building a technology for space, and now she's going to LA to pitch her show. So that's just one example of what we did. And then most another story that also warmed my heart, and I actually cried on stage. I was doing a panel on stage and I was talking about how we want to encourage more women to become founders, right? How we want to give them the tools and the powers and the encouragement that, hey, you can build the next unicorn. And then one of the dad raised his hand. And then he told me, I heard you speak a few weeks ago that to encourage more women, especially women, to go into STEM. And then I went to my daughter that day and I told her, listen, let's create a startup together. And she was very excited to do that. And then they worked together on building a startup. And then he told me that they had just pitched and won a pitch competition with some money to actually fund her startup. And I started crying on stage. I could not hold back. So just stories like that really warm my heart that we're actually actually having an impact on not only women, but also men and women who are coming together and who are saying, hey, we don't like this environment anymore. We want to change things for our daughter, for our mother, for our sister, for our wives. And that is very heartwarming.
Yeah, and I always say for their mothers too, because they all have mothers. I can guarantee that.
Exactly. They all have mothers. They all
There's
have
not
mothers.
one that doesn't have a mother.
Exactly, exactly. And then what I'm finding and is that actually men really resonate with our messaging. They want to help. They want to live in a world where there's both of us represented. They just, I feel like they didn't know how or didn't know how to start. But I think once you show them the way, they're like, yes, we are with your mission. And my biggest allies have been obviously women, but also men. And I'm super appreciative of that fact.
You know, that was one of my biggest surprises when we took the movie Show Her the Money on the road. We did have predominantly women coming, of course, from the name, but the men that did come were like, wait a minute, I didn't know it was this imbalanced. I want better for my daughter. And where do I sign up? How do I start investing? It was very interesting that, like you said, once you bring it to their attention, they really do care and they really do want to level the playing field and they want to change it. So, yeah, thank goodness for these platforms that they're able to learn and be a part of it and help us change it because we do need them at the table helping us to change it as well.
Exactly. We just need to create an ecosystem where it represents the world we live in,
Yes,
right? And the tech ecosystem, at the end of the day, 50% of all the products being used are being used by women.
that
50%, exactly. So if you don't have women at the table, how do you even know that you're building the right product? And okay, this is a story for you that you're going to enjoy. So I used to lead engineering teams here in the Bay Area. And at one of the companies that I was working at, 80% of our users were happened to be women. Yet in the executive team, there was only one woman on the board. And they were discussing priorities for the next quarter. And one of the priority that came up was, should we make it that people can edit their profile, right? Like their last names or their last name was one of the biggest contentious point. And then men around looked around and they're like, why would anybody would ever want to change their last name? Right. And then the women on the board, the only woman in the room, then she said, well, women change their last name when they get married. And actually over 50% of women change their last name. So that's what I'm saying. Like you need a woman's
right.
perspective in that because we are using the product and sometimes we know ourselves way better than the
Right. Either that or we need to stop changing our last name.
Yes, oh yes, we do need to stop changing our last name.
Hey, it's a
And
thought.
exactly. If you want to change your last name, great. If you don't change your last name. But in all cases, it just represents that when women are on the table, we can make
Yes.
decisions about products that will affect us.
100%. And you're so right. And I say this every time when we're at these screenings. I'm saying we impact 80% of the buying decisions. Why aren't we impacting more of the investment decisions? And we can. And with the biggest transfer of wealth happening as we speak, will be even more of a position. Will be in that position to decide who gets the investments as well. And that is a very powerful position to have that impact in both sides of that scenario. You're right, though. That's why everything from childcare to health, women's health care and other things have suffered because women aren't the ones deciding what products and services are actually being created. It's the people who invest that actually decide what the future products and services are.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. We need more women to start investing. And I think I read a statistics that women, when they do have money, they end up, donating to nonprofits or they are less risk averse. So they don't invest in venture, for example. But venture by far, yes, it has the highest risk, but also the highest reward. And if we start having women invest in those early stage startup, invest in those products, then we can really level the playing field because now suddenly more women are getting invested in, more women are becoming are building startups that are becoming unicorns. So that means they're creating more wealth that can go to other women. And that's how we start changing the system. So we
Exactly.
absolutely, yeah.
And I think that, when you said maybe more risk, more reward, but in a way, I think, is it really more risk? Because, it's like a mutual fund. You're pooling your money and you only need one or two of them to be successful, but you automatically have a portfolio of 20 to 30 companies minimum when you invest in a fund. And that kind of makes it less risk adverse because you automatically have a large portfolio and only one or two of them have to make it in order to make money. So I don't think it's as risky as people think. And I don't think it's as risky even as angel investing, which I'm a proponent of, but I think that's one of the pluses of venture funding.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, we had a workshop yesterday on investing, and I do believe like investing in venture funds is less risky than angel investing because when you angel invest, you only invest like one company at a time. But then when you pool your money, then you definitely de-risk your investments.
I think so too. And then, one thing we wanted to do with Show Her the Money was demystify venture. I think women haven't invested in it. And like you said, more often give to charity because it's just the way they've been brought up. And they're told, hey, you give to charity. It's mostly women that run charities. I have one, you have one, but it's just as important if not more, to invest in women for profit, not only because you'll get a return, but more importantly, you'll make an impact. But what's better than the combination of the two to grow your wealth while making an impact? And that's why I think there's that message that we need to get out to women about venture capital. And it is why we made the movie. We wanted people don't invest in things they don't understand. So we wanted to demystify it and simplify it so people, walk out of the movie saying, oh my God, it's not as complicated as I thought. And wow, it's way more fascinating, exciting, and accessible than I thought it was.
And I love that. Yes, venture, because of venture funds that you are creating, that we are all creating here in Silicon Valley, it's more accessible than ever now to invest in venture. And the best part is that you get experts actually figuring out the startups and figuring out where they want to invest. But at the end of the day, you still get to be at the forefront of technology and invest in like these new exciting technologies that are coming out. And I think now with AI, it's the time to invest because every single industry is going to be changed.
And it's the time to invest, one, because of AI, and two, because so many brilliant women are stepping into the space that you can invest in. And that's been uh, an overlooked opportunity to build wealth. And also, like going to your community events or venture events, once people are in that space, they realized what they've been missing out on, how exciting it is. I would say, on the public market, you'll probably never meet the owner or the founder, but in venture, you get to meet the brilliant founders and game changers that are creating these innovations, right? I can imagine that your events are so incredible because you get to hear about all these incredible innovations coming down the pike, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You get to meet the founders one-on-one. When you invest in their startups, they actually want to chat with you. You get to see what they're building. And there are so many incredible things being built now in San Francisco and Silicon Valley, like longevity, making people live longer. Anything related to us going to space to mine resources there. Robotics. We just had a humanoid DJ on our event. And all of that, you can only invest when you invest in upcoming startups. You can only see them when you are investing in venture because they are not big enough yet to be on the stock market, but they are upcoming and the future is now, especially with AI. It made the future
Yes.
actually become being now and not in
Yeah.
5 years.
Right. The future is now.
Future
Yeah.
is now, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I just love everything that you're doing. If somebody is in the Bay Area, they can attend your events. And how do they find you all?
Yeah, definitely. So you can go to foundersbay.com. We have a newsletter that we send out every week. So I highly encourage you, you add your email there. And then we host weekly workshops, weekly in-person events. And we also host a monthly how to become an investor and how to start angel investing as well.
I love that. I love that. And you have your venture fund that you're getting underway as well, so they can learn about venture funding. This is the future, this is the now. And I think we're all involved with trying to educate young people about venture capital so that they have that runway of building that wealth over many decades. And and understanding that venture for them, for young people, is a career path, a investment path, as well as a funding path for entrepreneurs. And just a very exciting arena to step into, right? Super fascinating.
It's very fascinating. Now is the time to invest in the future. If anyone is interested, they can go to foundersbay.com/invest to apply to be an LP, or they can also go to how do they get access to your fund? Because I know what you're building is incredible as well.
Oh, we're the same. Our website has info and we're building that out right now. Silicon Valley Women Founders Fund.vc. And yeah, I mean, we're all doing these funds to try to get more funding to women because they've only been getting 2%. And so where we're both talking about women being 50% of the population, 50% of the attendees at your incredible tech events, the situation is that there's an imbalance in the funding. And so with women getting only 2%, men getting 98%, the world is suffering from that because they need funding in order to actually execute their grand ideas, right? And so we all have an opportunity to be pioneers in this space, literally pioneers changing the game so that the other 50% of the population and their ideas actually get to market and that people then make profits from it. And so everybody wins. The investor wins, the tech innovator wins, the public wins for the services and products that are being created. Super exciting time to be in this space, right, Marianne?
I 100% agree. This is the time to fund more women, to hire more women, to really create a tech industry that represents all of us. So I'm very excited about the future because I do believe, especially with everything that women like you are doing, that, women are coming in and they want to change that. And we can only do that when we all come together and try to solve that problem. So I'm very excited.
100%. And I think with what you're doing and what we're doing, we're educating women about it. And when you tell women, this is why you're getting the short end of the stick, then they do step up to the plate and come together and fix the problem. And I think we're in the middle of that right now. It's an exciting time to step into venture capital and like you said, the tech world, the AI tech world. Thank you for everything that you're doing. You're making such a difference to the world at large, Marianne, because you are the catalyst for bringing together these women and men and changing the game of what the tech industry looks like and getting more women's ideas to market. And that's going to benefit the world at large. So thank you for all the great work that you're doing.
Of course, and thank you so much for having me and giving me a voice. At the end of the day, it's when women support women and when they put them on stage, that's when we really start to make a difference. So I really appreciate you and everything that you're doing as well.
Thank you so much. Now, you can find me or Marianne, of course, on LinkedIn. For those that are just listening, I'm going to spell her name for you. So it's Mariane, Marianne. Is that Marianne? Is that
That's
the
correct.
spell? Okay. And Becker, Bekker. So look her up on LinkedIn. I'm, of course, Catherine Gray, Catherine with a C, Gray with an A. And I think we have social media, both of us. So you can find us, of course, on Instagram, Facebook, and everything else, which is, of course, Founders Bay, and also everything from Show Her the Money to Silicon Valley Women Founders Fund, and my She Angel Investors site that has workshops and resources, and it's why we do this show. And we really appreciate everybody taking the time to tune in. Make it a great week, everybody. Thank you so much, Mariane Bekker, Founders Bay. Make it a great day.